I want to talk today about two words that aren't probably that popular right now. Contagious purity. And I wonder if sometimes as Christians, especially when we're at uni, I wonder if we hide a little bit. And I wonder if the reason that we hide is that we're actually a little bit frightened of getting contaminated. I'm not talking about COVID here, but sometimes we feel like we look at the world and it's just like, ooh, I don't want to touch it. I'm a bit scared it's going to make me wrong or unclean. And there's some stories in Mark 4 and 5 that I think really help when thinking about this idea. So if you've got a Bible, have a little look at it or read it later. But there's a succession of stories where Jesus performs miracles. So it starts off where he's in the boat with the disciples and he stills the storm. And then he lands on the shore and he gets met by someone who's like, come quick, Jairus' daughter is dying. And on the way to visit the sick girl, he is touched by the bleeding woman. You know that story where he's in the crowd and feels the power go out from him. And all of a sudden, this woman who has been bleeding for years is healed. Gets to the little girl's house. He's too late. She's already dead. But he goes in and says, little girl, wake up. And she comes back to life. Now, what's interesting is in all of these stories, there's a common theme. And that theme is impurity. So even when Jesus is speaking to the storm, he rebukes it almost like it's a demon, an unclean spirit, and tells it to be still. Obviously with death, you know, the little girl, that's the most impure thing. And likewise within Jewish purity laws, the woman who'd been bleeding for 12 years is just like absolute no-go area. And so in all three of these instances, Jesus is coming face to face, like skin to skin with impurity. But what's interesting is whereas actually for the Jewish people at the time, there were all these laws that were set up to kind of tell you how to be pure. And if something went wrong, there was a system for how you could sort it all out, whether it was a sacrifice or whatever. You could sort that out. But with Jesus, he comes into interaction with these things. And rather than them making him impure, it goes the other way. His purity is the thing that is contagious. And I think it's so important that we have this because actually we often have that mindset of, you know, oh, where I am, the people I'm with, the places I'm in, like actually that's going to contaminate me. And don't get me wrong, there's loads of really good things to think about in terms of how to keep yourself pure and how to choose God and how to set boundaries and set limits and all that stuff's great. But I think sometimes we can be a little bit scared. And the thing is, we're supposed to be like Jesus. We're supposed to be people that are confident in who God has made us to be, confident in the purity that he has given us. There isn't anything to do with our performance or our behavior. And actually the world needs to see it. The world needs to connect with Christians that are real, that are in the places that everyone else is, that haven't just set ourselves over here in some little holy huddle, trying to keep ourselves safe and nice and clean. But I think in order to sort of bridge that gap, we need to have confidence that actually the purity, the righteousness that we hold, first of all, doesn't come from us, doesn't come from our behavior, it comes from God. But actually that is the thing that is transformational, not the other way around. It's the purity that's contagious. Because deep down, that's what the world wants, that's what it's longing for, it's what it needs. So I think we need to switch this idea of contamination. We need to move from a meticulous religious mindset that says if you do this, you're clean, and if you don't do that, you're not, and here's how you make up for it. And actually have that confidence that Christ in us, the hope of glory, is the thing that's going to bring transformation. And actually it can't bring it, like we can't be the light in the world if we're not in the world. We need to be in that place to influence it. And what's amazing is just like, you know, when you flick on a light in a dark room, the light is there. You know, there's no battle, there's no back and forth where the darkness fights a bit and the light fights a bit. The light just overcomes the darkness. And isn't it amazing that the light of the world, Christ Jesus, lives within us? And so why wouldn't he then, wherever we go, bring his light? So I just want to encourage you, like ask you a question. Like, are there any areas in your life? Are there any places, are there any people that you're holding yourself back from because you're scared? Because you're scared of what it's going to look like, you're scared of what's going to happen, you're scared of contamination. And I want to encourage you to maybe flip that on its head and have confidence again that Christ in you, the hope of glory, is there and he is the one that's bringing his light to the world. And what would it look like to have a bit more confidence, not being afraid of stepping out and actually taking the thing that the world needs and making it more available? So I just want to encourage you with that. Go read Mark 4 and 5, be inspired by the story of Jesus and know that it's him that does it all. It's his power, it's his strength. Catch you soon.